Real quick before we dive in, if you're a woman in midlife who's tired of the cliches and ready to live out loud, we're glad you're here.
Because you are definitely in the right place. We're not here to age gracefully, we're here to age boldly. So if you love real talk, big laughs, and the occasional spicy truth bomb, having no BS conversations with all of you about midlife topics, right, Michele?
That's right, Julie. Here to help all you midlife women redefine your relationships, ditch those toxic cycles, and reclaim your power one episode at a time.
Right. And this episode is going to be the beginning of a few that we're going to have on this topic from different perspectives.
Yeah.
Right, Michele?
Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
Intimacy. But we're going to be talking about dismantling and taking apart all the outdated ideas about that.
Dissecting,
Pulling apart, putting it under a microscope, however you want to think about it. But we are going to kind of pick it apart and talk about some of these things because I think they're super relevant, especially when we get to midlife and we're understanding more about how intimacy impacts us in our relationships. And that is all relationships, really.
Yeah.
The word intimacy, right?
I think what I've learned over the course of my years is that there's definitely stereotypes or categories, I would say, that we just automatically have assumed over time are topics that would be just considered intimacy without even, or considered a part of intimacy that aren't really necessarily.
Yeah.
And that was what we were talking about. Michelle's mentioning about dismantling. It's like, before we get into every aspect of intimacy, which is going to probably be in some other episodes, there's, emotional, there's physical, there's all different kinds of intimacy that you can have with another person, with your friends, with yourself, with your family, all of these different relationships. But there are certainly ideas out there that people who don't understand necessarily what intimacy entails would just assume it's a part of. So, for example, there's a lot of people out there that think if you have sex with somebody, that's an intimate experience. And I mean, you're, slapping cheeks with someone who it's pretty intimate that way, right?
Yeah.
But is it intimate because you don't really know maybe this person very well, or you don't really have that love connection with that person? So it might just be a quick fuck. It might just be like a roll in the hay.
Yeah.
So when you're having a roll in the hay with someone you don't really know and you have no real intention of getting to know,
there's no intimacy.
There's no intimacy.
I hate to break it to you, but there's not.
No. I mean, it could still be fun, but it's a different kind of fun.
Yes.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean, it's complete opposite of what intimacy is.
Right.
Truly.
Why don't you share with us what your thought process is on intimacy as it relates to physical connection?
Well, I think the physical connection because what you just described, there is physicality there. Right. But when you are in an intimate relationship and that physicality is there, it can just be truly the intimate, very vulnerable moments. It could just be lying next to your person.
Yeah.
In bed or on the couch, right? And spooning, or whatever that looks like.
Are you the big spoon or the little spoon?
I'm the little spoon.
You're the little spoon.
Think about that for a second. Or just, if they're sitting at a chair at the kitchen table, walking up behind them and putting your arms around their neck and just.
So that's not sexual.
And just touch.
Basically
it's
what
not
you're saying.
Sexual. It's physical touch, but it's a very intimate way of doing it,
Yeah.
That's what I
think. But when
think.
we're talking about sex, it's like there's different aspects of sex where intimacy is involved. It really depends on who the person is you're with and the time that's taken. If they're kind of, making sure you're doing okay. If you're honestly, a lot of it is that it's your eyes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
okay.
that
I see where you're going with your question. Yeah. Yes.
Do you have anything else to add to that?
Well, just
without a disclaimer.
It can be your eyes.
And it is something that I've actually had discussions with different people about because not everybody looks at it the same way.
Right.
And I feel like you could have sex with anybody and sure, it'd be fun, but really it's like kind of more empty, in my opinion, if it is something that you're doing without having that kind of connection with a person, because you're giving yourself to that person. It is just done in a more transactional way. That is the difference in my mind. Does that kind of resonate?
That you described that pretty perfectly.
Okay.
And when you're back to the eyes thing, I know in retail you talk about how you can smile with your eyes,
Mhm.
right? Raising the eyebrows, smiling with your eyes, the tone of your voice, and I think all that can fit into this category as well, to your point. I
Right.
mean, you could look at somebody and, yeah, be undressing them. You've heard that, undress me with your undress me with your eyes, you know? You could
There's so much
just have that.
nonverbal
Yeah.
communication that you can have with we're just talking partner here for a sec.
Yeah.
That nonverbal communication is way more intense sometimes than verbal communication. I mean, it's like we've talked in different episodes. I remember one episode in particular where we're talking about you just looking at your person across the room, going, giving them a
Mhm.
little nod,
Yeah.
to the powder room or wherever, during a dinner party or, when you're at a restaurant. Okay, now I'm getting all freaky. That's not what I meant. It's just more, but you can do that with a person who you're more intimate with
Yes.
because they know that, you're really into them and
Well, and
you're
that's like
focused
foreplay
on,
and all the stuff comes
yeah.
later.
Yep.
But I mean, and think about that. We do outside of romantic relationships, we do that with. I mean, for those of us that have had children,
Hmm.
we do that with our kids.
Yeah.
I mean, you can give them the evil eye when they are misbehaving. You don't have to say a thing, right? They know the look from mom. I mean, mine did anyways, and or at work. I mean, you just the death stare of
Yeah.
whatever. So there's
The
that's
nonverbal,
a bit huge communicator. The eyeballs can be.
but that's not an intimate communication with your
No,
kids. Yeah.
well, not intimate, but I'm yeah, just the communicate. The
But on that note, let's talk about your kids. We've got a lot of listeners who have little kids, right? And
Mhm.
it's like it can be a very intimate moment to be sitting with your child reading a book.
Yeah.
Or like what I would do with my youngest when he was younger, a lot of the time it's like we would just pull up a topic or like he would say, I want to learn about I remember this one, hot air balloons. So I just Googled hot air balloons and we learned about hot air balloons, just little
Mhm.
things that we did together that he
Yeah.
wasn't doing with
The
other people.
moments.
Yeah, they're little
Mhm.
moments. So that obviously doesn't relate to sex with intimacy, but there are lots of different components to it. So
So, like all these examples, when we're talking about what this topic is, and that is dismantling the outdated
right.
ideas of intimacy. And that would be like just what we're talking about, because when you think of intimacy, automatically most people go to sex.
Mhm.
And, based on the things that we just talked about,
Right.
that can be true, but it's not always
No.
true.
I think the difference is your heart is more into it like when we're talking about sex, your heart is more invested in
Yeah.
what's happening. You're more you care about that person. You're wanting to make sure that person's good. Whereas with just straight up sex, it's like, of course, if you're a nice person, you're going to want to make sure that person's good. But at the same time, it's like, you're probably not even spending the night. Or if you're spending the night, you're going home the next day. You might be seeing other people. Who knows? There's so many different aspects to it. So anyway, intimate. Well, here's one. Midlife bodies need to be fixed. You know, it's like, well, think about it, especially from a woman's perspective. It's like there is so much that goes into our appearance, whether we like it or not.
Hmm.
How much we weigh. It's like what kind of clothes we wear, what our hair looks like, all those sorts of things. But really, more from a body perspective, it's like we really do put a lot of pressure on ourselves where our bodies are concerned.
Hmm.
And we want to feel good in our bodies. But there are people who think that our bodies are like washed up, or not necessarily attractive.
I think that, I mean, truth be told, I think that is more so now ever true because of the internet
Right.
and social media and all the things that there are now. I saw a post the other day actually on social media, and it was somebody that posted a picture of a woman standing in front of an old school car in a bikini, right? Body not,
Hmm.
but this from the 70s,
Yeah.
body not perfect, hair not perfect, but really good looking gal,
Hmm.
you know?
Well, and I think everybody too has a different interpretation of what is good
Yes,
looking.
for sure.
I
For
mean,
sure.
I see some of these things on like TikTok or whatever, and it's like some of these guys they like thick women, or you see them talking about they like thick women, they like thick thighs, thick booties, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, and there's plenty of women out there who are skinny, but there's guys that really are into that. So I think it really just depends on you and what you're comfortable with in your body. And at our age, it's like, of course, we're gonna. I call them battle scars. we're going to have battle scars. I've had 3 cesareans. I'm going to have battle scars, but I've got these amazing kids and I'm not proud of them. They are my scars. They
Mhm.
are what they are. And to think that you are going to be, at our age and not have some of those things that your body's been through. We've been through a lot with our bodies, you know? So, and here's the other funny thing about that. It's like, and we're not just talking about women, we're talking about men too. I find that I've run across where men are very critical of women's physical appearance when they themselves need to be more critical of their own physical appearance before they start pointing fingers at others. Like they got the big old belly, or they've got, the receding hairline, or the yellow teeth, or whatever. I mean, it's like, who did they get off saying, you know, she is not good looking or she's not pretty? It's like, dude,
I
take a
mean,
look
it's
in the
just
mirror.
I know, and it's just reality. This is the way midlife goes, and there's people that are way more health conscious, I think,
Mhm.
now than what it used to be, and that's great from a health perspective. And the bottom line is we just need to be confident with what we've got. We've got to own it. We live in it. We have to feel good about it, and whatever it takes to be able to do that, which we talk about in all of our episodes. There's
Right.
so many aspects about midlife that have to do with how we're feeling in our own skin.
Hmm.
So, you got what you got, work with it, feel good about it, try different things so that you feel better about it. These bodies are not problems to be fixed.
Right.
They're wonderful vehicles to be living in.
But I am of the opinion that if there is something that you want to do to make you feel more comfortable in your body, I always feel like people should do it. If that's what
Do
they
it.
want to do, I'm like, go for it. But then I've seen, like, okay, you know how I am about my reality TV shows. I'm watching this reality TV show the other day, and this woman, it's a throuple, first of all, which, I was so, just this one portion of this program that I'm watching, it's like they're a throuple. And this guy, I don't know how he managed to get these 2 incredibly hot women. And he's not a prize or whatever, but he's obviously very sweet. His wife is like stunning. This woman is stunning. She's gorgeous. I mean, I could have a girl crush on her. She's so gorgeous, right? And they come to the very end of the season and they do this thing called a tell all, which is probably like a year later, where people come on and they talk about their relationships and
Right.
stuff. It's
Mhm.
crazy. I can't even believe I like this stuff, but it's very interesting. She's had a facelift, including a nose lift or nose job. She's had her boobs redone. She's had a mommy makeover. She's had a Brazilian butt lift. And I swear to God, this woman, it made me sad because I felt so beautiful before she did all of these things. And so they were talking about it on this show, and they're going, why did you, why did you do this? And she was saying, I just felt a lot of pressure to, people were saying, my husband, this other girl were saying, oh, you've got a flat ass. Oh, da 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 da. Oh, your nose is. And so she changed all of this stuff. And it was like, I'm looking at her and going, and it made me sad because she looks so different. She doesn't look like herself anymore, like maybe a more refined, even version of herself. Knock yourself out. But it's like, girl, your nose was so cute. So I don't know. I think there's some things that, I personally wouldn't probably do, but I don't judge. It's more kind of like, I'm always so curious as to why someone wants to do
Mhm.
something the way that they do it. And if it makes them feel better and they've got the money to do it, go for it. But I'm very curious about that stuff.
Get it, sister.
Get it, sister. Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, so our bodies do not need to be fixed. If we choose to do something to them because it makes us feel better, as I said before, I think we need to get it, sister, as Michele said. Yeah. What's another thing about intimacy that you feel like we can touch on today that's not a specific topic? There's a couple more that I'm thinking of.
Well, I think in regard to midlife, and I'm not sure that this is what you're thinking about when you're asking that question, but I think there is, when we're talking about dismantling, which
Mhm.
is the topic here, it's that desire in midlife starts to decline.
Right.
And I'm sure for some people, maybe it does,
Right.
but that's not always true. Do you think?
I
I
think
mean, I think
it
that
definitely
notion
does.
is out there.
Well, I think when we're in relationships, I'm thinking more romantic relationships, really, when we're talking about this, because think about the trajectory of a relationship, right? It's like typically in the olden days, like back in the, 1700s, 1800s, whatever, people were married as part, they were more business contracts. And, they had expectations to have babies or do whatever, but they didn't even know each other a lot of the time. So
Yeah.
so there's no intimacy developed when they're getting married. And when you
Right.
see things like that, I think in our society today, people typically will get married or be together because they have this intense love for each other. And that is something without constant nurturing is going to fade over time in the way that you knew it. It's like people go through stages in relationships. So if you've been married 20 years, you have a different level of intimacy than you did when you were been married for 6 months. You're probably knocking boots like all the time. You when you've been married for 6 months,
Yeah.
even 6 years, whatever, but that kinda starts to fade over time. So, something else is gonna be replacing it. Or if there is a medical problem with one person or, someone gets sick or things like that, you're taking care of that person that you love is an intimate
Yeah,
act.
definitely. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's not always about sex, it's about
Right.
different levels of intimacy that people can have. So, yes, I do think that physical desire does fade over time. And
I
I
think it
actually
evolves and changes.
yeah,
Just,
it's
I'm
different.
just, yeah, it is different, and I'm listening to some of the things that you were just talking about. I mean, that just was kind of prompting my thought on that, as far as the physical desire. It may. I just think that it's different, and it evolves, and that intimacy changes. Just like to your point,
Mhm,
you are going to be caring for somebody not just when they're sick, but in different ways, with based on different things that they're going through in life, things that couples go through with their children, and
mhm.
that brings a kind of intimacy,
Yeah,
within a relationship, just different things like that. So I think that it almost, in my mind, when I think about some of these things, it grows. Intimacy tends to be more
mhm.
within a relationship than just the physical stuff. It
Right.
turns into a lot of other things within that.
I
So,
think the physical thing is absolutely 100% critical. I mean,
mhm,
and I think to develop some of these levels of intimacy we're talking about with a couple, they have to have
mhm,
had that base. It doesn't mean it's the same, rabbit kinda stuff all the time, but over time, it's like maybe it's not as often, but maybe it's just as intense, or you're in a place where you mix it up a little bit, and so there's nothing that's routine, and it makes it more fun. I mean, there's a lot of ways to go about doing that, but to be with that person and adore that person for the rest of your life or for a long period of time, there has to be all this other stuff that's been developed through the course of your interaction. So, and I do believe that, like, you see older couples, like couples that have been together for a
I
long time,
love,
and I
yes,
love seeing
I
that.
know. So do I. Like holding
Holding
hands, walking
hands.
down the street,
Yeah.
opening the door for, yeah, I know.
Or
It's
just the
very
way they
sweet.
talk about their sweetheart or whatever, and you see I mean, it just absolutely warms my heart when I have
Yeah.
run across that because, honestly, I don't think that that is something that people really see that often. Yeah. So when you do see it, it's kinda precious, and you can also tell, with couples who have that mindset, you can
Yeah.
kinda see it, it's like
Yeah.
they've grown up that way or they've grown together
Mhm.
that way. So, anyway, just
Yeah.
another thought on that. Anything else that you can think of on that topic?
Maybe another outdated idea would be that people think that we know what we want
Mhm.
at this juncture in life, right?
Are you talking
Um,
about physically?
you should already know what yeah, like in regard to intimacy,
Mhm,
we should at this age know what we want. And sometimes I think that can be very situational. That's not always true
mhm,
based on our experiences that we've had in a relationship to this point in
right,
midlife, and whether we're with somebody or not with somebody to this point in midlife. So it could be that we've experienced a lot of different things and we really don't know what we want because we haven't experienced the thing that resonates with us
well, you
in
maybe haven't
regard
been
to
exposed to
intimacy.
it or were too
Right.
afraid to experiment,
Mhm.
with things. I 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah.
And having honestly, and I'm just talking from a sex perspective here. It's like having been married at such an early age and
Mhm.
living, like the Catholic lifestyle where I was too afraid to do anything. Anyway, I was pretty innocent.
Missionary only.
Well, probably. I mean, it really was not very creative when you think about it from that perspective, right? Got the
Yeah.
job done, but it was not, I just didn't know any better,
Yeah.
and so, and honestly, we didn't, we were young, we were both young. So we didn't really, both probably didn't know any better.
Right.
And so as you get older, you start discovering things that you didn't necessarily know about before. And you're like, oh, hell, I had no idea that was going on out there. And it's like, oh, that would be something so cool to do with my partner, or whomever. I wouldn't waste those things on people that are, not people that are committed in my life.
Right.
I would save those for the special people,
The
so
special people,
they're all
or the special person.
People. Depends how many special people you have in your life at one time, right? Joking.
Get it, girl.
Get it, girl. No, I'm totally joking on that. You know that.
No, I know.
I'm an angel. Anyway, so that's kind of what I was thinking about. I don't think we as women necessarily know all the things that bring us pleasure and joy. We don't. And sometimes you have to be exposed to those things. I think where we're starting to see with this spicy community is that women are way more open to learning about some of those things. And if they're with a partner or not, they're wanting to get to know and understand a little bit more about their bodies and what makes them tick and what brings them pleasure. And I think that's amazing, because even saying it out loud, it's like, God, I probably would have gone to jail 50 years ago for saying that out loud,
20 years ago.
You hoe, you go to jail, Anyway, so we just wanted to cover a few of these things with all of you, and just kind of put them out there, because there will be further discussion on intimacy. It's really a very brilliant topic. It kind of just is a really great topic, and intimacy is something that just brings such incredible joy to your life when you understand what it's all about and you understand when it's happening, and I know that sounds very fundamental, but we're not just talking relationships. We're talking, or romantic relationships. I'm thinking about, like we mentioned earlier, the relationship with your children, or the relationship with your family or your friends.
Intimacy can be uncomfortable too. I mean, it can be uncomfortable for some people, depending on what their family relationships were. Somebody that grew up with maybe parents that weren't very loving and intimate. And so that cycle will continue. So, if you're struggling with intimacy in whatever kind of relationship that is you're thinking about, think about something that you can step out of your comfort zone and maybe try this week, whether it be with your partner. Maybe it is that, connection with your eyes, and just patting them on the ass when you walk by them, just something small that maybe you wouldn't normally do, but that grabs their attention. If you're uncomfortable with intimacy, maybe just try something, or with your children too, taking a moment where we get so busy and caught up in life. There's so many things that we're doing to keep all at the same time. Just take a moment and pause and have an intimate moment with your children if you've got them. Just try something if it's out of the norm, and I dare you to be intimate this week.
Like and just like having a conversation with your little one about something that they're asking about, because they haven't determined what they're not supposed to ask about yet.
Right.
I think back on those days and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like those were the best, when they just have those wide-eyed looks at you and you have all the answers. Be very careful about how you convey them. So anyway, well, thank you for your time, everybody, today. This was kind of a fun one to get started on. We will definitely be talking more about this, and with our community and the women that are out there. Maybe probably get into a little bit more rough and tumble shit with this too, because we really want to get down into the nitty gritty,
get down and dirty.
Get down on it. Anyway, have a wonderful time talking to Michele about what, Michele?
I was just going to say really quick before we let you go, check us out on all the socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We have a lot of fun out there, and take a little visit over to YouTube as well. Listen to us there. You can also watch us over on YouTube. And if you take the time to do that, you might as well press the button and subscribe.
That's right.
Just a friendly reminder.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate all of you and being with us, and we will see you next week.
Until then, stay spicy.
Bye, people.
Bye.